Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Email Beyond Revenue. Really excited today to have Zach from Sidekick as well as Hiro Analytics filling a real gap in the market that I'm sure anyone who operates with Klaviyo has seen pick up traction in the last few months. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Stoked to be here.
Likewise, well, as I said to you just before we hit record, you're really filling a gap in the market that was much sought after. And I know you're excited to dive in and just show us a little bit around the platform and some of your favorite use cases on how to use the tool. So why don't you take it away and show us?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for giving me the floor. As you said, gap in the market. We've been running our own retention agency for 6, almost 7 years now, and Klaviyo does a lot of incredible things. And I think one of the things that it could do better is make things easier for agencies. And I think that means being able to see all your clients' data in one place. I think that means getting a better sense of how to become proactive rather than reactive. And I think it means getting beyond the revenue, right? Getting cuts of data that, help you understand retention and incrementality and profitability. So I'll share a couple of my favorite views of the data and take you for a tour, and when we can take it from there.
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So first things first, this is the cohort retention view. I think this is one of the most helpful views in the platform. So effectively what we're looking at here is a cohort of customers from Q1 24 compared to Q1 23. What this view helps us understand is during a given period, here's all of the first orders that were placed during that period, as well as the first orders that were attributed to Klaviyo. So in this case, the way to read this is 268 new customers came in Q1 24. Of that 268, 73 were attributed to Klaviyo. Couple quick hits on the first order. So I think one thing that's always interesting is in most cases, for most brands, first order AOV tends to be higher when it's attributed to Klaviyo. Couple thoughts here. You're doing a bit of bundling or upselling or cross-selling across welcome and abandonment. Maybe because they're getting a discount on the first purchase via the pop-up, they're buying more. So I think just an interesting thing for brands and agencies to look at in the first place is what is my first order AOV when it's unattributed versus attributed? On the right-hand side, when we look at cohort retention, this will be our 30 and 90-day LTVs, as well as the attributed revenue for those cuts of data. So as you can see, looking at a 77 first order AOV, at 30 days, it goes up to 83 on the LTV. At 90, it goes up to 94. And you can kind of see the cumulative revenue as well. On these two charts, this is the spend of that cohort. So cumulative cohort value. You can see ramps up really after 90, 180, 365. This is a consumable product. So our expectation is that they're going to come back every 30, 60, 90 days, buy more, and email should be kind of taking some of the load in doing that upselling, cross-selling, and replenishment. So the dark green is the attributed revenue. The light green is the unattributed. So we're a year into this data, so we get the full 365. So you can see at 365, unattributed revenue is about 20K, attributed revenue is about 14. So, 60-40 roughly. So email is definitely helping out there. And then you'll see it in terms of LTV on this side as well. So at 365 days, LTV without attributed revenue was $74. With attributed, it's 52. So you are getting a sum there of 127. It's not a perfect science here, obviously, in terms of incrementality. But essentially what this is telling you is that attributed value is $52 to the LTV over the course of a year. So it really shows you the value of your retention marketing program running through Klaviyo. And then again, with the consumable product in particular, I think these cuts of data are really helpful. At how many days, what percent of people are making a second purchase, right? So 30 days, again, for this brand in particular, most of their products aren't a 30-day consumption window, so we wouldn't expect it to be high. But by 60 and 90, we'd expect more, right? 10, almost 11% making a second purchase by day 60, 13 by day 90. And then you can see the time between orders as well. So again, I think this is a great starting place for if you're an agency auditing a new brand. This just gives you a really holistic picture of the retention program without just seeing revenue numbers and campaigns and flows. It kind of takes you out of that mindset and lets you focus kind of on these broader metrics. And then as you kind of dig into, okay, what are our KPIs? I think especially for like CPG brands, but really for any brand, it's like these first to second purchase rates are a really cool metric to measure improvement on over time, right? So say you come in with a client or you're working internally at a brand and you're like, okay, our baseline 60-day second purchase rate is 10.8%. We know that most people run out of the product in 60 days. So there's no reason this number couldn't be 15 or 20%. So I think this is a great KPI for a lot of brands to set and measure over time. And it'll inform your strategy too, right? If you're falling short of that metric, even when talking about the campaign strategy, you can say, well, we need to be doing more replenishment, not just in the flows. Maybe we need to incorporate replenishment into our campaign strategy, the time delays in your flows, all of those things. I think this is a really good number for agencies and brands to own and feel like they have some control over.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's great as well that you're taking people out of an email siloed centric view of things and you're giving them more of a holistic retention picture, which I know has been a huge bottleneck for lots of agencies, including ours, who want to present these sort of holistic, like you said, brand KPIs and stop talking about things that reality is most of the brands don't really care about, like click rates, open rates. They're not really determiners of how healthy the brand is overall. So it's been fantastic for our clients. I can speak to, how we're using the software. It really does help level up our reporting. I know you just touched on a couple of use cases there as well, Zach, and how it can be applied to strategy, maybe to make this really practical, because obviously it's going to help with reporting and showing value about how your strategy is moving the needle. But what's a practical way that you've seen some of the early adopters of Hiro take this data and then apply it to their strategy? Would love to understand one or two use cases.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think one of the most common use cases, especially around cohort retention, is looking at the filters and kind of building like deeper cohort understandings with the filters. So for example, if you're a brand with say like 2 or 3 hero SKUs, you can filter the first order and look at each of those SKUs individually and see maybe SKU A has a 20% higher AOV and 20% higher LTV than the other 2 hero SKUs. So I think one practical application is filtering first order by specific products and getting an understanding where is there a specific SKU we should really be encouraging on first purchase because we know it leads to better retention. And I've seen agencies and brands think that product B was their hero SKU and actually realize that A is a lot better for retention. And so it kind of helps position what they're doing on site, what they're promoting in the pop-up, what they're promoting in the welcome series. So I think that's one like clear application here. I think the second is looking at profile properties. One really specific instance is the pop-up that you're using on site, right? If you're using a third-party pop-up or Klaviyo, you're very automatically, honestly, right, adding a profile property to every profile that goes through a specific pop-up. And so whether you're running like a bunch of different paid funnels and landing on different landing pages, or you're running just like a slightly different offer based on traffic source, all of those situations coming from top of funnel, from acquisition, things that we typically as retention marketers don't have a lot of control over. I think what's really helpful is at least controlling the pop-up on those different sources, assigning a profile property, and then filtering this data set by that property. So I can actually understand like, okay, people coming in on this landing page, which is showing this pop-up, tend to have a lower LTV than people landing on this other landing page or landing on the home page or landing on the PDP because we're triggering a different pop-up or offer on those pages. I think that's like one step beyond what we usually feel responsible for as a retention marketing agency is like these paid traffic funnels or even organic traffic funnels. But we have like our line in the sand, which is the pop-up, and it gives us a lot of flexibility, both in crafting offers, but also collecting this first party data that then we can use to inform an understanding of where are the most valuable customers coming from. I think that's always one of the hardest things for us to do as retention marketers is like, where are the most valuable first time purchasers coming from? And I think this profile property filter can help with that a lot. And we've seen a lot of agencies kind of take that and run with it.
I think this is a perfect example for everyone listening on how you become a truly holistic partner to the brand and not just siloed in your department. Because, like you've just rightly pointed out, Zach, retention is often starting with healthy acquisition. And it's shocking actually how many times I've had to dig in and do manual pulls into Excel and Google Sheets to try and find this. But when I've always brought this back to the paid media team or the brand owner, you can get some really shocking insights that really change the whole direction of the brand and how they're running these acquisition campaigns. So it's the most important thing to call out. And I'm glad that you pretty much provide that insight out of the box, because I know before I was spending, often dozens of hours trying to sift through a lot of data to find this. So this is an amazing use case. And I think, again, for anyone listening, this is how you really extend the value that you provide as a marketer to become a truly brand partner to someone.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Our goal is to help as many agencies as possible become that type of partner that you're describing. And that's really our ethos, is to be the best partner to agencies that want to be the best partner to their brands.
Well, look, this is amazing. I think this is really valuable in such a short, concise way. I know there's so many use cases that we could have went
Yeah,
deeper on. We'll have to bring you back for a few more episodes to look at things like
absolutely.
repurchase rates, time between orders, free order frequency. There's so many exciting things that you can pull from the software. But quick elevator pitch for yourself, like how can people contact you and get started with the software as well?
Yeah, honestly, the easiest way is just heroanalytics.com. Click the book a demo link, and there's just two of us, so you'll get me on the demo, walk you through it, get you set up. I'm CS, I'm our lawyer, I'm our sales and marketing, so you'll be working with me. So yeah, just on the website.
Fantastic. All right, man. Guys, make sure to check it out. Thank you for your time, Zach. Really appreciate it. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a ton, Adam. Appreciate you as well.